This podcast is brought to you by The Senior Techie, a source of information for seniors and others about technology.
You know the feeling, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think we all do. You're sitting at the kitchen table, maybe the coffee's gone a little cold,
Yep.
and you're just staring at this pile of paperwork. Lab results from 3, maybe 4 different doctors.
And one is locked inside a patient portal.
Right. And you can't remember the username, let alone the password.
And the password probably needs a capital letter, a symbol, and, I don't know, the blood type of your first pet.
Exactly. Then you've got another one that's a PDF attachment you can't figure out how to print. And the third is buried somewhere in your email between pharmacy reminders. It's a mess.
It is a mess. It's the modern healthcare experience in a nutshell. Scattered, confusing, and, frankly, overwhelming.
But the senior techie says there might actually be a light at the end of this tunnel. We're talking about 2 major new players that hit the scene in January of 2026.
OpenAI's ChatGPT Health, and then Anthropic's Claude for healthcare.
And these are not just your standard chatbots.
No, not at all.
So our mission today is to look at what the senior techie found when they really analyzed these tools. We want to see if they can actually help you, the patient, gather all that scattered info and just make sense of it.
Precisely. And I think the key thing to say right off the bat, which the senior techie highlights, is that these tools are designed for you. For decades, medical tech was built for hospitals, for billing departments.
For the system.
For the system. These new tools, they're patient-centric.
So let's unpack that core problem first. Why do we even need these tools right now?
Well, the context is the fragmentation of American healthcare. The senior techie explains it perfectly. Your cardiologist doesn't talk to your primary care doctor.
Right. Your physical therapist has no idea what medications your dermatologist prescribed.
Everyone is in their own little silo.
And every silo has a different portal. It is maddening. It feels like we've been promised interoperability systems, talking to systems for, 20 years? Why is it suddenly happening now with AI?
That's the key question, isn't it? The senior techie points out that we were waiting for the hospitals to agree on a common language. That never really happened.
Yeah.
But these new AI models, they don't need the hospitals to change. They act as a translation layer.
I love that phrase, translation layer. It implies there's a language barrier, which there definitely is. It's like having an interpreter who speaks medical bureaucracy.
That is a great way to put it. But unlike a human interpreter, this one doesn't get tired, and it can read 50 pages of your notes in, seconds.
So give me an example of that translation. What does that look like in practice?
The senior techie has a great one. Imagine you get a lab report back that says, unremarkable hepatic function.
Okay, to me, unremarkable sounds, kind of dismissive, a little vague.
Exactly. You might start to worry. But the AI translates that instantly to, your liver is working exactly as it should. No issues found.
Oh, that's a huge difference.
That emotional shift from anxiety to reassurance is the real power here. It bridges the gap between clinical speak and plain English.
Okay, so let's talk mechanics. How does the data actually get from all those silos into the AI?
Right, it's not magic. It relies on secure digital pipelines. The senior techie breaks it down by platform. For Claude, they've partnered with a group called HealthX.
And that's the aggregator, right?
Correct. HealthX is like a massive secure switchboard. It allows Claude to pull records from over 50,000 health systems. It uses what are called APIs to request a read-only view of your chart.
So it's just peeking at the data through a secure window, not downloading it onto some public server.
Exactly. And on the other side, ChatGPT Health works with a data network called BeWell. Plus, they connect directly to Apple Health, MyFitnessPal, Function.
So all that data from your watch or your phone can be part of the picture?
Steps, nutrition, sleep data, all of it. But here's the feature that I think is the most practical for the audience of the senior techie. The report mentions that both tools allow direct file uploads.
Because let's be real, a lot of doctors are still handing out paper.
The paper printout is still king in many offices, you're right. With these tools, you can just take a picture of that paper, upload it, and the AI reads it just as easily as a digital file.
That's huge. It bridges that gap between the digital and the paper world that so many of us are still living in.
It does.
Okay, so I got the data in the system, but, we've had Dr. Google for years. We've all done that late-night WebMD search that convinces us we have a rare tropical disease.
From a simple headache, yeah.
So how is this fundamentally different from just Googling my symptoms?
The difference is context. The senior techie points out that over 230 million people were already asking ChatGPT health questions every week. But before, the AI was giving generic advice because it didn't know you.
It was just reciting a textbook.
Exactly. Now, it sees your specific hemoglobin levels from last Tuesday. It sees your medication list. It's not guessing based on population averages. It's analyzing your specific biological reality.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what that looks like. The senior techie has some really practical use cases because it's one thing to say it analyzes data, but it's another to know what to actually ask it.
They're surprisingly conversational questions, too. They mimic the things we wish we could ask our doctors if we had, unlimited time.
Right. So let's say you've just uploaded your last 3 years of blood work. Instead of trying to read those graphs yourself, you could just ask, how's my cholesterol trending?
Or, and this is a great one, I'm seeing my doctor on Tuesday. Based on these lab results, what are the 3 most important questions I should ask?
I love that. It's like prepping for a business meeting. You're going in with an agenda.
You are. Or how about this? You're looking at open enrollment paperwork for Medicare Part D. You could ask, based on my current list of 6 medications, which of these 3 insurance plans makes the most sense?
That saves hours of phone calls and spreadsheets. And the senior techie found some really specific benefits for seniors. I remember one example of a senior who used Claude to summarize their records before an annual physical.
Which is just a brilliant strategy, because when you walk into that exam room, you're often flustered. You're in the paper gown, it's cold, the doctor's rushing.
And you forget to mention that back pain you had 3 months ago.
Right. But having a summary, a little cheat sheet of your own health, means you don't forget the important stuff.
And another user checked for interactions. They asked ChatGPT Health if their recent weight loss might interact with their current medications.
A critical question. And it highlights the power of pattern recognition. I mean, think about it. Your doctor has, 15 minutes with you?
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. They might not have time to scroll back through 5 years of notes to connect a new diet to an old prescription.
But the AI doesn't get tired. It doesn't have a waiting room full of people.
Exactly. It can review every lab result, every note from every specialist you've given it, and spot patterns that a human might miss just due to time constraints. It's not replacing the doctor's judgment.
It's just giving them and you better data to work with.
That's it.
This brings up a really interesting point about independence. The senior techie notes that studies are showing seniors who use these tools report reduced reliance on caregivers for answering health questions.
That's a huge psychological benefit. It's about agency. Instead of having to wait for your son or daughter to come over and explain a test result, you can interrogate the data yourself. You become the expert on you.
But there's a flip side to that trust, isn't there? The senior techie cited this survey from Carewell in 2025 that really caught my eye. And I have to admit, I was a little alarmed.
You're talking about the 1 in 6 statistic.
Yes. They found that 1 in 6 seniors now trusts AI health advice as much as their doctors. I mean, Is that dangerous?
It's a valid fear. When I read that in the report, I paused too. On one hand, it shows a desperate hunger for help. People are drowning in complexity, and the AI offers clarity and patience.
Things the system lacks.
Exactly. But on the other hand, that is potentially too much trust. If the AI gets it wrong and you trust it as much as a board-certified physician, you can make a very bad decision.
It feels like a double-edged sword.
It is. But we have to understand the shift in information flow. It used to be one way. Patient to provider, you'd answer their questions. Now it's two-way. You're becoming an informed investigator of your own health.
So you're walking into the office saying, I noticed this trend, rather than just asking, how am I doing?
And that shift is positive, as long as the trust doesn't turn into blind faith.
Okay, so being an informed advocate is great, but we have to talk about the elephant in the room, privacy.
The radioactive topic.
Yeah. The senior techie puts it bluntly. If they mess this up, trust evaporates instantly. This is our most intimate data. So what are the actual protections? Not just the buzzword, it's encrypted.
Right. The senior techie dug into the technical specs here, and the distinction they make is vital. It's about training versus processing.
Meaning people are worried that if they upload their health records, the AI is going to learn from it and maybe spit their details out to someone else.
That's the fear of the black box. But OpenAI has been very clear that ChatGPT Health runs in a separate space. It's isolated. And most importantly, the senior techie confirms those health conversations are not used to train OpenAI's models.
So my health chat stays in my vault. It doesn't become part of the collective AI brain.
Correct. It's firewalled.
Yeah.
And Claude has a very similar approach. Anthropic promises data never trains their models. And remember, HealthX, that connector.
The digital switchboard.
Right. It only pulls the specific parts of the record relevant to your current question. It operates on a principle of least privilege. It's not sucking in your entire history every time you ask a question.
That's good to know. And the senior techie also mentioned user control. You can disconnect apps, right? Like Apple Health.
2 clicks. That's usually all it takes to cut the cord. And both platforms are HIPAA compliant. However,
here comes the however.
the senior techie rightly points out that nothing online is ever perfect. And often the weak link isn't the AI, it's us. Security hygiene is on you. You have to turn on multi-factor authentication.
I know, it's a pain. But we really can't have our password be password 123 if we're storing our medical history there.
Precisely. If you leave the front door unlocked, doesn't matter how secure the vault inside is. So, check the settings for every app you connect.
Point taken. Now, we touched on the risk of trusting AI too much. The senior techie has a segment they call the warning label. We need to be very, very clear about what these tools cannot do.
And the hard line is this. They do not replace doctors. They do not diagnose.
And this isn't just legal boilerplate. There are real consequences. The senior techie discusses a documented case of a 60-year-old man. Can you walk us through that? It really brings the danger home.
It's a sobering story. This gentleman was using a general AI model, not one of these new health-focused ones, to try and self-diagnose some symptoms, and the AI confidently suggested a condition. He became convinced he had it.
And it turned out he didn't.
He didn't. He spiraled into paranoia and experienced hallucinations and severe distress, all because the AI suggested something that was medically dangerous and completely incorrect.
That is terrifying. It really highlights what the senior techie calls the confident mistake.
Exactly. An AI can sound incredibly sure of itself while being completely wrong. It doesn't stammer, doesn't say, well, I'm not sure. It just presents a hallucination as a fact.
So given that scary possibility, what are the companies doing to try and fix it?
Well, OpenAI worked with over 260 doctors who reviewed the model's outputs more than 600,000 times. It's a massive effort to ground the AI in medical reality.
They're trying to teach it to be cautious.
To be cautious, to defer to doctors, to refuse to diagnose.
Right.
But errors still happen. So the advice from the senior techie is clear. Use these tools for preparation and understanding, not for treatment.
Use it to learn terminology. Use it to track trends.
Use it to draft questions for your doctor. But if the AI says stop taking this pill, you talk to your doctor, period. The AI is a researcher, not a clinician.
Okay, so we know the risks, we know the benefits. For the listener who is thinking, all right, I want to try this, but I have 40 years of records in a box in the basement, how do they start without getting overwhelmed?
The senior techie suggests avoiding that upload everything at once impulse. That's the quickest way to get frustrated and give up.
Right. It's not about digitizing your whole life in one afternoon.
No, that's a recipe for burnout. The senior techie recommends a step-by-step approach. Step 1. Start small. Connect just one source. Maybe your primary care portal or just your Apple Health data.
And then what?
Step 2 is the test run. Ask a simple question you already know the answer to. Something like, what was my blood pressure at my last visit?
I like that. It's like you're quizzing the AI to see if it's paying attention.
Exactly. You're validating the tool. Then step 3 is verification. Compare the AI's answer to what your doctor told you. If they match, your trust builds. If they conflict, that's actually valuable.
So?
You print out both answers and bring them to your next appointment. Ask the doctor, why is there a discrepancy here? It makes the AI a partner in the conversation.
That's a great way to handle it. And practically speaking, the senior techie says to have a government ID ready for verification if you use Claude.
Which is a good security feature, honestly. You should also check healthx.io to see if your providers are even in their network. For ChatGPT Health, there might be a wait list, so you can go get in line on their website.
And again, the key is to not feel like you need to solve the whole puzzle at once.
Just starting with your most recent lab result can give you that aha moment. It turns a page of confusing numbers into a narrative about your health. And once you have that narrative, you feel more in control.
So as we wrap up, what's the big takeaway here?
For me, it comes back to the idea of the learner. This isn't about you becoming a doctor. It's about managing chaos. The healthcare system is fragmented, and that isn't going away.
Records will keep scattering.
They will. So the question is whether you want to use technology to gather them back up or, keep doing it the hard way.
Staring at that pile of paper on the kitchen table, it's about being an informed advocate. You don't have to use these tools, but as the senior techie says, you should probably know they exist. because the person next to you in the waiting room might be using them to get better answers than you are.
That's a powerful thought to end on. It's about leveling the playing field between the patient and the system.
This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to keep up with their newsletters, you can subscribe for free by going to theseniortechie.com. Thanks for listening.